We begin our top story this half hour in Evangeline Parish, where an investigation into a deputy-involved shooting is now underway. At about 2 o'clock yesterday, the sheriff's office requesting state police presence following a deputy-involved shooting near the corner of Ivy Lane and Homer Road in Ville Platte. Police tell us one person was shot by a sheriff's deputy, and that person was taken to a local hospital where they later died. Their identities are not being released at this time, but KATC did speak with a family friend of the person killed, who tells us she was shaken up by the news and that the family is in shock as they await more details about the situation. We are still reaching out to state police this morning, making calls for more information, but we have yet to hear back. We will, though, keep you updated right here and online as soon as we do. And the family of the mother and daughter killed in Tuesday's crash along Johnston Street in Lafayette now speaking out. The family of Tarita and 17-year-old Chase Washington, a Lafayette High School student, sending us an exclusive statement. They write, "Our hearts are broken and our minds are overwhelmed." You can read that full statement right now on KATC.com. 21-year-old Joseph Prejean also died. Police tell us he was speeding, which led to the deadly crash. And then a third driver, unidentified but involved in the crash, living and at last check stable with moderate injuries in the hospital. In this morning's national headlines, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem expected to hold a press conference today to discuss immigration removal operations in New York City. The press conference comes just a day after an Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer shot and killed a Minneapolis driver during the Trump administration's latest immigration crackdown on a major American city. Noem describing the incident as a, quote, act of domestic terrorism carried out against ICE officers. But the city's mayor blasting that characterization, calling it, quote, garbage. In New York, ICE agents have been met by protests at times. Noem saying last year that ICE is targeting violent criminals and Tren de Aragua members on its New York operation. It's unclear how many arrests have been made and what's next for that operation. And the U.S. Senate could hold a vote on the War Powers Resolution as soon as today. It's a congressional move that would prohibit further military action in the South American country without approval from federal lawmakers. The vote comes after the U.S. conducted an operation in Venezuela that forcibly removed President Nicolas Maduro without congressional approval. The measure was sponsored by Democratic Senators Chuck Schumer, Tim Kaine, and Adam Schiff, as well as Republican Senator Rand Paul. Several GOP senators say they are undecided on how they will vote, including Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Susan Collins of Maine. And with several Republican senators still on the fence, the outcome does remain uncertain. Meanwhile, the House is also expected to vote today on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies. Our Joe St. George explains why both votes could have major implications for Americans.
Members of Congress taking up some of the biggest issues of our time on this Thursday, with the U.S. Senate expected to vote on a war powers resolution that could limit President Trump's ability to conduct further military operations in Venezuela. Meanwhile, the House is taking on health care affordability. But will any of it actually become law? The United States Senate is expected to vote on a war powers resolution Thursday that, if it would pass both chambers of Congress, would place new restrictions on President Trump's ability to use the U.S. military in Venezuela. A number of U.S. senators have expressed outrage over the capture of Nicolas Maduro, and this vote could potentially send a message of discontent to the White House, even if the resolution faces an uncertain future in the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, in the House Thursday, a vote on extending already expired Affordable Care Act subsidies is expected to take place and ultimately pass. The legislation would extend subsidies for 3 years. However, that measure has already failed in the Senate, but the vote would be a key test to see how many Republicans would be willing to work with Democrats on this issue. Behind the scenes on Capitol Hill, a bipartisan group of senators continues to work on potential compromise health care legislation, but it's unclear if any deal can ultimately be struck. And we are also tracking in the House of Representatives the potential for Congress to begin the process of overriding President Trump's first vetoes of his second term. It's very rare for this Republican-led Congress to be in disagreement with the policy position at the White House. The two pieces of legislation that could be overridden by Congress involve a water project in Colorado, as well as tribe reservation access to the Everglades in the state of Florida. Joe St. George, Scripps News Group, Washington.
Back here in Lafayette Parish, the Scott City Council taking on several budget amendments during a public meeting today. Council members will discuss spending $30,000 to set up a voting site at the West Regional Library and $32,000 to host the city's Mardi Gras parade. Other items include a property sale for the Apollo Road Utilities project and a warehouse variance request. If you'd like to go, those activities are scheduled to start at 6 p.m. inside Scott City Hall. And several school boards all across Acadiana are meeting up today to discuss a wide array of topics, some that could dramatically reshape these districts' futures for years to come. So listen up. The Lafayette Parish School Board meets today to tackle several key issues. Board members will elect a new president and vice president for 2026 and consider extending Superintendent Francis Touchette's contract through December of 2029. Other major items include approving a construction manager for the new Broadmoor Elementary addition and selecting a new audit firm. Also on the agenda, a discussion on the 2027 budget and the approval of new health insurance plan documents. That meeting starts at 5:30 at the school board office on Rue Iberville. And the St. Mary Parish School Board also meets today with a focus on financial matters. Board members are set to receive a group health insurance update and approve the annual audit report. The board will also authorize a new negotiation process for workers' compensation insurance, and that meeting kicks off at 5:30 as well inside the Evans Medina meeting room in Centerville. And another school board meeting in Acadiana, this time St. Landry Parish, with members set to discuss new policies on student restraint and seclusion. The proposed policies would allow trained staff to physically restrain or seclude special education students when they pose an imminent risk of harm. The board will also go into executive session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation and special education services. The meeting will be held inside the Supplementary Resource Center in Opelousas starting at 5 o'clock. We're also looking ahead in St. Landry Parish this morning as voters will soon be deciding on a 1-cent sales tax to fund a new juvenile detention center. It's exactly why your St. Landry Parish reporter Paris Flanagan has more from a meeting that was centered around the proposal and what your neighbors have to say about it.
I'm Paris Flanagan, your St. Landry Parish reporter. St. Landry Parish voters could soon decide the future of a proposed juvenile detention center. Parish leaders and elected officials met Wednesday to discuss a plan for a new facility that would house kids ages 10 to 17. The facility would have classrooms, counseling services, and vocational training. Supporters say the center would provide structure and resources currently missing.
Do you want to see them in a 10 by 10 cell? Or do you want to see them in a facility where they're going to be housed away from the public and then learning what to do, job skills, and have the ability to come out and be a better person?
Others argue the focus should be on schools and mental health services, not incarceration.
If we would give our kids in school the resources they need, they wouldn't have to go to jail. They wouldn't have to go to jail at all.
The project would be funded by a 1-cent sales tax expected to raise about $81 million, a measure that will go before voters on June 27th.
New development this morning out of Jeff Davis Parish. A $2.1 million parish animal shelter is nearing completion, but has no funding to operate. According to the Jennings Daily News, the no-kill facility is expected to be finished up by March. However, with voters rejecting a sales tax rededication in November that would have provided $300,000 annually for operations, the shelter will remain closed until funding is secured. The parish now plans to put the tax rededication back on the ballot in June. And now to a new delay this morning out of Acadia Parish as a $500,000 payment to the parish for a methane gas project at the landfill runs late. According to the Crowley Post-Signal, Jury President Beau Petitjean says the contractor has made a $10,000 good faith payment, but the remaining $490,000 will now be due February 15th. The project is expected to generate up to $1 million per year in royalties for the parish, with construction expected to finish up in early 2027. The full jury is scheduled to meet next Tuesday at 6 p.m. to discuss it. And St. Martin Parish now searching for a new registrar of voters this morning after a sudden resignation. Patricia Guidry will resign from her position effective January 31st. And Parish President Pete Delcombe says applications are now being accepted for the position. Interested candidates need to submit their applications and their resumes by no later than 4 p.m. January 27th. To find out more about the application process, you can visit our website at katc.com. And still to come, a new year means new resolutions and goals for so many. The most popular, losing weight or getting in shape. I'm in Lafayette Parish with the questions you need to ask to make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck with that new gym membership. And that's not all. We also have a look at traffic. Just take a look at those skies overlooking Lafayette Parish, courtesy of our tower cam. What you can pay at the pump and what you can expect on the roads this Thursday morning.